Good morning, distinguished panelists, senior professionals, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special expert webinar titled Mokwa Flooding, Professional Insights and Way Forward, organized by the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Niger State Chapter, and Association of City Managers in Nigeria, ACMAN. I am Musa, Sustainable Urban Planning and Development Consultant, the President, Association of City Managers in Nigeria, ACMAN. I'm your host and will be moderating the panel session. Before we proceed, it is important to reflect on the recent tragic event that has deeply affected Niger State. On the 9th of May, 28th to 29th, 2025, Mokwa in Niger State was hit by devastating flood caused by intense and prolonged rainfall. This tragic event claimed over 150 lives, with some reports indicating over 200 deaths and more than 100 people missing. Over 3,000 residents were displaced, hundreds of homes were destroyed, and key infrastructures, including bridges and major roads, was washed away. It's important to clarify that the flooding was not due to the dam release, as both Kenji and Jeba dams remained intact. The disaster was largely a result of blocked waterways, inadequate drainage systems, and the growing impact of climate change. This disaster is a wake-up call for all of us as professionals in the built environment. We must strengthen our commitment to climate-resilient infrastructure, proactive planning, and sustainable urban development to prevent such tragedies in the future. May the souls of the departed rest in peace, and may we all find the resolve to build safer and more resilient communities. Next, I'd like to call on the Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Niger State Chapter, Town Planner Nagidi, Musa, Bala, to give his welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nagidi Musa Bala. I'm the Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Niger State Chapter. I most humbly welcome everyone to this program. Let me quickly inform you that NITP, Niger State Chapter, is a co-host alongside ACMAN for this program. Without much ado, I welcome you all, and it's my sincere prayer that we have a fruitful deliberation and at least forge a positive way forward for Niger State and Nigeria as a whole. And on that note, I say you're welcome once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Town Planner Nagidi. Okay, the objective of this webinar is to discuss and dissect the underlying causes of the Mokwa flood disaster from environmental, urban planning, and infrastructure perspectives, to discuss current gaps in policy, planning, and community awareness regarding flood risk, to gather expert opinions and evidence-based recommendations for technical advisory reports, and to foster collaboration between professional bodies and the Niger State government on disaster risk reduction. And the outcome is expected to be a professionally endorsed technical report on the Mokwa flood disaster. Okay, it is time to go right into our panel sessions. And I would like to welcome our distinguished panelists, who are very significant and renowned figures in Niger State and Nigeria at large. First, I'd like to welcome a person we call a father, a veteran in the urban development sphere, who has served key leadership roles in both state and national level. And the person we call a professor among professors. Help me welcome Professor Mustapha Zubairu, a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. He's also a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners and the chairman, Sustainable Human Settlements Consult Limited. Also, I'd like to welcome a National Productivity Order of Merit awardee, the Permanent Secretary, Niger State Ministry of Lands and Survey, Dr. Abdul Hussaini, the Fellow of Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Fellow of the Nigerian Environmental Societies, and the Coordinator, Regional Center of Expertise, RCE, Minna. I would like to also introduce a man at the forefront of emergency in Niger State, Dr. Ibrahim Audu Hussaini, the Director, Information and Education, Niger State Emergency Management Agency. We are also happy to have with us Architect Usman Aliyu Yarima, a member of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, the Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Architects, Niger State Chapter. Finally and importantly, we also have Town Planner Nagidi Musa Bala, Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Niger State Chapter. Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, Dr. Abdul Hussaini has not joined us yet because they have an emergency in Mokwa they are attending to. Also, Dr. Ibrahim Audu is also in the same place because they are at the forefront of this emergency rescue mission. So we'll just proceed and hope they join us soon. All right. So we have two sessions, a technical and environmental dimensions of the Mokwa flood, and we also have planning policy and strategic response for flood resilience. So I'll start with the first one. So my first question will be, what were the most critical technical and environmental factors that triggered the Mokwa flooding? I would like to pose this question to our dear Professor Mustapha Zubairu.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all express my deepest condolence to all the families affected by this flooding. Again, I would like to condole the Serkin Hausawa of Mokwa, whose area was actually worst affected. Again, I condole the village head of the area in Dalele, the chairman of the local government. Above all, I condole our dear former governor, Umar Mohamed Bago, in whose jurisdiction this unfortunate incident is taking place. You know, my major concern, to be honest with you, is that your articulation of the problem are real, but there's a major disconnect between what we, the technical people, know and the reality the people in these areas affected are dealing with. The real issue is that they have a life which is distinctly different from what we know as their lives. And as such, they are not able to, we don't really relate to each other. And to that extent, to be honest with you, this is a classic example of if you don't plan, you fail. I think the failure, in my view, is partly because we have not planned, and you are not planned because we don't understand what it is we're dealing with. So for me, these are primary reasons why these problems are there and they will continue to be there. And there are disasters waiting to happen in very many parts of Niger State and probably beyond Niger State. Sorry, what was your question again?
Okay, my question is, what were the most critical technical and environmental factors that triggered the disaster in Mokwa?
Okay, good. Right. So essentially, that is, for me, the people have been living through this problem and they seem to be reasonably aware of it. First of all, that area is growing rapidly. And the growth in the Mokwa area has to do with the fact that you have people from other parts of the country, northern part of the country, coming to settle in Mokwa in large numbers. And there's an explanation for it, which obviously we don't seem to understand. Do you know that Mokwa and very many towns and villages in Zone A have this experience of contract farmers? Mokwa is very famous for the farming of guinea corn, beans, and maize. In fact, that's one major areas where these things are grown and sold in the country. But the bulk of the farmers are actually, call them visitors, who have come to settle. I'm sure those of us who live in towns like Minna, we know that in the dry, as soon as harvest is over, farming is over, most of the villagers come to Minna and settle to do a variety of menial jobs until the first rain falls again and they disappear. In Mokwa, the story is different, simply because they are there to render a service. And there's a fantastic partnership going on between the people, the owners of the land, and these people who are settling down there. So there is a reason why they're there. And they don't go there and leave. They go there and settle. And farming is labor intensive. The more people you have helping you to farm, the more money you make from the point of view of this contract farming. So that's why, if you notice, a lot of these areas have grown rapidly, and people don't move. But the land they are occupying is land that people should not occupy. Riverbeds, areas too steep for people to build on. They are there because they have to be there. They are there because they are making money to be there. And they are there because nobody is offering them any other alternative advice. This is why I believe that we, the technical people, it's manifest. So it's inevitable that when you have people, too many of them living in areas they shouldn't live, you get all this type of problem. And I don't know if you observed during the flooding, a lot of these Islamic schools were occupied. A few minutes later, it's not that the buildings collapse. The buildings actually are washed away completely, including the people in it. I watched one video myself, where it was a video of a mosque, where people were inside the mosque and on the roof of the mosque. I assure you that building didn't collapse. It was simply washed away with all the people on top and inside. So it gives you a good idea that they are building using the wrong building material. Maybe they are building the wrong location. Nobody is there to stop them. Nobody even seems to be, we're not even fully professionally aware of what is really happening in that area. So it's a combination of environmental challenges that have built up in such a fast pace. The people are there to make money. And that's why, because of the sheer number of the Hausa-speaking communities in Mokwa, the village head deemed it necessary to appoint Serki Hausawa, that is the head of the Hausa community. That's a sign that the population is large. And while you have people who are doing the best they can to live and make money in the process, all kinds of things tend to happen to the environment. So these houses are there. These areas where this water is collecting were other borrow pits, where a lot of them go and mine the sand there to build their houses, so on and so on. So the more people stay there, the more these challenges manifest themselves. I hear even the Nigerian railways, when they built their dike, they built drainage channels. But since nobody was there to educate anybody, these channels were blocked. So for me, it was a disaster waiting to happen, simply because there's no communication whatsoever between the people who are there substantially to earn a living and those of us who are the experts who know all these things. So I think somewhere down the road, we have to start thinking about really what to do to avoid this disaster in terms of how we can begin to bring to bear our knowledge to help these people to make a better judgment in terms of where they live and how they live in safety and perhaps make money. Lastly, I want to mention the fact that these guys are working together with the local farmers and they seem to be getting on very well. And they seem to be producing quite a lot, which is a partnership that I think we should look at. It looks informal. But clearly there's something in it that works. And it's not peculiar to Mokwa alone. I assure you the bulk of the towns and villages in Zone A, especially the fishing areas, the bulk of the people from that area. So it's a model that has existed. But there are consequences, and these are some of the consequences we're not dealing with. Because the demand is there. Because wherever they come from, further north, here. And because those of them who are living in Mokwa, they want to do more and make more money, they are inviting more and more of their people to come and settle. There is no organized place to settle. So the places get choked up, all kinds of other things are developed in those areas, and the consequences are what we're not dealing with. I'm afraid it's something that we have to find a way of addressing. We, the professional, alongside with government, to be able to address all this. It's not the place of these people to do that, because they don't understand it. And that's why we are educated, and that's why we are professionals in this area, to be able to guide these people. I think in a nutshell, this, for me, are the core issues. As long as people are living in large numbers and continue to live in those areas, the areas have a bearing capacity, the environment is not suitable for the bulk of the activities taking place. And that's why when disaster strikes, comes in large quantities. And look at the sheer number of people who are there. There are consequences, but I suspect that we're going to discuss the implication of this. For this farming season, and it has just started, I don't think there will be as many farmers this time around as they had last year, for example, to do the farming for them. So productivity in terms of the production of all these three crops may drop. So we may be dealing with issues of poverty may become much more prevalent, and so on and so forth. But so probably I will, until we come to that part. But for me, these are the core issues. There's some major disconnects. We don't know what they're doing, and they're there to make money. And they're making money until, unfortunately, we reach the limit which we shouldn't have reached, in all honesty, if there had been proper advice. I think I'll just put a full stop to my comment for now. Maybe take some more reaction later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful reaction. So I'll pose my next question to Town Planner Bala. How did urbanization and poor land use planning contribute to the scale of this devastation in Mokwa?
Yeah, thank you. Prof has said quite a lot of things as regards these issues. Yes, urbanization is a global thing, and of course, Nigeria is part of the global community. So we are witnessing these things in triple folds. Unfortunately, there is a ill preparation, for urbanization. As far as okay, let me localize it. As far as Niger State is concerned, for a very long time now, the major cities in Niger State don't even have a workable master plan, so to say. Now, if you extend that, to places like Mokwa now, so where do you start from? So these are basically one of the most challenging aspects of planning in Niger State. And because these things are not in place, of course, there will be haphazard development. And no matter how you think you want to manage or monitor this development, if you don't have a strategic plan, that will guide this development, it becomes extremely difficult. So you have people doing what they can do to survive. Like Prof highlighted, where these people are settled, they are making a living, and they are making it big time, irrespective of the fact that it's a very dangerous place for them to live. Now, who is going to tell them that it's a dangerous place? And now, professionally, we could see that, of course, or we can assume that it is dangerous. But what is our preparation towards ensuring that people do not go to places like that, that alternatives are there, that they can stay and make their living? Because there are no deliberate plans, for people to settle and live their lives, they are forced to take the most easiest alternative, which of course we've seen the consequences as regards to what just happened in Mokwa of recent. So by and large,
Okay.
Am I still audible?
Okay, you're back now.
No, we can't hear you anymore.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So the case of this recent incident, if you notice,
We can't hear you anymore.
hello?
Okay, I think we are having a network issue there. Okay.
Yes, we're having network. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So in the case of this Mokwa incident now, the place where these people are, they know it is risky. Probably they never assume that, you know, this could be the magnitude of the risks they are taking. But the land is there. The land is cheap. They can do whatever they want to do on that place with little or no supervision. So it's quite comfortable for them to start earlier. Nobody is there to say, no, you are not supposed to be there. This is where you are supposed to be. Now that is finding alternative. But where is the alternative? So people are forced to govern themselves because the institution has not defined a better place or a better way for them to live. So and we are hoping that as professionals, we could draw the attention of the government using references for them to see why the cities, towns, and villages need to be planned. We cannot stop urbanization. We can only slow it down. And I don't think for now that there's been any country that has been successful in even trying to slow down urbanization. So we need to work with time. The global world has left Africa back. And of course, no matter how backward we are, we must definitely trace trace the line and follow suit. So the first thing that needs to be done is to ensure that there's a plan in place. Once the plan is in place, monitoring will be easier. Development will be well defined. And issues like this can be easily avoided. But as long as the system continues to operate this way, well, I don't want to make it sound like a cause, but we will of course continue to experience things like this. And I assure you, even in cities like Minna, you can still find houses in drainages. Probably that's another issue for another day, but we are hoping the issue will not come up where there's a similar disaster like this. But these are things that are happening all around the state. These are facts, they are there, they are realities.
Thank you.
There is no machinery in place to make sure that these things permanently do not occur. So because they are there, the risk is high. So until there's a deliberate plan to ensure that all of these things falls into where they're supposed to be, I think we'll continue to witness things like this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Town Planner. for taking us through the urban planning dimensions. Of course, effective planning is very important for urbanization. So let's look at the architectural dimension to this. We are talking about the issue of block drainages, So I'll pose this question to you, Architect Yarima. What is the architectural dimension to this? How does the architecture of the Mokwa, a town, affect, how does it contribute to this devastating effect?
Okay. Good morning, the moderator.
Thank you.
Members of distinguished members. It is my pleasure to be here this morning. I will first of all want to extend my condolence or the condolences of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, even though we're in Mokwa. We visited the Indalele and we also visited the local government. And we have also written the letter to His Excellency Governor Umar Bago, condole and commiserate with him and the people of Mokwa over the devastating disaster that happens in Mokwa. It was really unfortunate, even though I will say it was, after visiting the site, you understand that for anybody that knows what it takes to put a structure or a planning, we know that that place was a disaster in the waiting. The rail dike that blocked the flow of the water towards the bridge has assisted in allowing the people to bring up a development on the area. The area is supposed to have a drainage that is supposed to connect to the bridge, the major bridge of the town, but that has been blocked. So, and just like Prof and the Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Urban Planners has said, one of the major challenges that has brought to this situation is that the planning authority, or rather the people that are supposed to look at the situation of construction and planning of the city have not done majorly well. Because if there is proper monitoring, those structures built far below the standard of minimum standard of construction. And that is the reason why you could see, for those of us that have visited the site, you will see the buildings, they were all washed away. Those buildings couldn't stand any pressure. From the construction, you understand that the quality of construction is far below standard, and there is proper planning and monitoring by the authority that bids. This situation will continue to happen. So, and that is why in our discussion, because we had some discussion with members of town planning, we had a meeting, and we feel the professional body should come together to see how do we support the government in trying to see that at least whatever will be done should be done with a proper planning and with minimum standard. That is the situation that we are in now, and we are working hand in hand to see that we achieve that.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that, giving us insight into the architectural dimension of this event. Let me pose this question to Dr. Abdul, since he's here already, were there any early warning signs or risk maps available prior to this disaster?
Why are you asking me that one? Eh? You want to cause wahala, ho?
I know.
So thank you very much. I'm happy that I'm happy that all the three my fellow panelists, I think they have opened the discussion very well, and I have listened to our Prof and then to Nagidi and then to Yarima. Interestingly, I want to maybe be more technical here, because we're looking at a problem that we need to solve, and I think we need to look at the root of it, and that's why maybe I'm happy with this idea of professional. Professional are like sometimes is it doomsayers or whatever, because we say something that people don't want to hear, and we need to talk about that because we are looking for solution. If you recall, as we're walking over Mokwa, we had a Kwatagi and we have a Jagi. These are issues that will keep coming. So to answer your question, I want to share my screen, if you permit me, just to see one or two things. Am I allowed?
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay,
so that you understand why this thing is there, because we have Jebba Dam that to some extent has dam water, and then some of the tributaries that lead to Jebba Dam, they're already oversaturated. We went to one locality called Ndayako. Sorry, I'm trying to share this so that you will get it right away. Thank you very much. Good. Let me. I don't know whether you can see my screen now.
Yes, you can see it now.
Yes,
okay, good. So I'm trying to look at directly. This is what we are looking at. If you can see my cursor, this is Jebba Dam, or this is Jebba we have. This is already part of the impoundment of water, and this is one of the tributaries that takes this water and then to River Niger and then downward to here Rabah down to Lokoja. I put a place in Dayako. I put a play pond area, and this area that I put this mark red with some public is the center, which I will show in the next slide. What I'm trying to show here is that if you go to, what is the name of this place in Dayako, it's a village that is about 15 kilometers away from the red zone. That is the point of where this disaster occurred. In Dayako, they saw water. In fact, they will tell you that water was coming from everywhere, but they don't know from where. And interestingly, you will see that yes, there was no any stream close, but because of this overflow of this, due to this blockage somewhere here, because of this dam, most of this area will keep on having that problem of excess water, and this is something that we need to take very seriously. So now, look at the other area. Now we have zoomed to the area of interest. Please, sorry, permit me just so that maybe we can talk more about it. This is in Dayako. You can see it, and then you can see the pond area. Now, contextualize it because of the increase of water due to rainfall and other things. Then the stream or the tributary to that river Niger increase in volume. Of course, due to that blockade, must look for a way, and that's why maybe it just spread into this area. In Dayako, in particular, when we went there, the building there is not that it was washed away. No, the building just dissolved. When I mean dissolve, just because of excess water, they just dissolve because of the material, just like the architect mentioned, mud and so on and so forth. Most of them, by Fulani and then the natives there. That's at Ndayako. This pond area that we went is an area in between the red zone and Ndayako. Believe me, I will show you a picture after, so that you understand the level. You will see water that will rise up to about 3, 4, 5 meters in volume without any stream around. So just imagine the movement that water will have when it moves towards the town. So these are the kind of context to understand. Now, look at this forest area that I put forest. We have a vegetation between a bridge to, sorry, I'm just trying to give this so that we understand the context. We have a forest between the bridge to School of Agri Mokwa and the rail line. This forest has been there for a very long time, However, something happened. I want you to look at it. We try to put it in different areas from 2020, 2021, and 2023. However, due to concern of security, these trees were cut. This forest was cut up completely. Oh. So now one can contextualize and understand. Maybe because of this tree that is serving as like a kind of sucking instrument It's reducing the magnitude of that water that is coming from all this overflow. However, this year, the whole of the area looks what? Bare. Now, look at this is the area that you can see the one on top here is the where the water, where the this is where the buildings are located, and then above here is where we talk about that is where we have the trees that are being cut off. Now I was talking about water rising up to about 5 meters. You can see this rain. I don't know if you can see the second distance. You will see the trees, sign of water during that rain that caused that havoc. The rain at that point, which is about 5 kilometers away or 3 kilometers away from the red zone, rose to that point. In fact, even above, up to about 4 or 5 meters. Just imagine that kind of water. Unfortunately, you can see behind us, you can see the trees being cut. Everything is there. And this is the area that these people live. And this is exactly the area where these people build their area. And that used to be the natural way where this water used to follow. Of course, we used to say this thing in context. Water will always find its level. And it doesn't matter when. Of course, those of us that did this risk analysis, we know this repeat cycle of disaster might be too short or too long, depending on the kind of thing that we are witnessing. Prof mentioned the issue of population, which is very important. We mentioned issue of urbanization, issue of economic and poverty and so on. So all this contribute to all this thing that we're seeing. Could you believe that if you are looking for the area where we have the highest level of deforestation and charcoal business, is around this axis? So, and these trees, they are serving a purpose. And where we are, this is where I think we professionally need to come to understand the kind of thing that we need to work towards. Look at what happened in Mokwa, the forest that is just above that rail line between the two areas, which is forming like a shelter. They cut it because of fear of what? Hoodlums and bandits, which is another threat. Now they expose the entire area, even though very poorly built on a very dangerous area, and then that was what they have. You can look at this, just like you mentioned the dike. Just imagine this kind of embankment. It's not that there were not points where water can pass through, no. But already over the years, this is also negligence. I'm sorry to be very practical, because if for recent rail line, the train has been working over the years, nobody will allow this thing to happen. They will have been maybe looking at their rail line, because automatically this means it cannot take any train the way these things are. So this is the issue. So if you look at just to stop at this, if you look at this, you can see the depression. If you use simple Google Earth, you will see how this is the depressed area where this thing take place. So I think you need to understand the reality of what really happened, the kind of thing they do. Look at now the 3D, the digital elevation model. This about 200 meters wide is completely in a depressed area that shouldn't have been allowed for any building. And we have all discussed and agreed that due to lack of poor enforcement, poor planning, building material, these are the reality. And also coupled with environmental issues, deforestation, very, very unethical environmental practices, or putting and so on and so forth. So I think these are the realities that we need to look at to find solution as professional. How do we move on? And I'm happy we're discussing this, because if you look at that map that I show you, this is just the beginning. That of Mokwa is already done. The whole of that area that moved up to Rabah, this is one aspect. But the entire area, Mokwa exit to that point of Keso, Moregi, all of them will keep on experiencing it, because we have a lot of dams that are saturating our soil. And that is why any above normal rainfall will lead to what? Overflow. And then we need to have a very good way of managing our existing stream, clearing wherever we think people are building that is on waterway, so that we prevent this from happening. If not, we just keep on repeating the same thing. And then, look, of course, if you are doing the same thing every time without thinking of anything, then you will have the same result. And I think that is the most important that we need to look at. And I'm happy that we're discussing this thing. I will show you maybe next, based on whatever we're discussing, to see how some of these things need to be clearly understood. And then maybe we'll look for a solution to solve them. It's not that they don't know. The buildings there, they know that they're on waterway. In fact, there is a picture I will show where somebody is even showing me this is his land. And this one is, you can see the suspended rail line on top of his head. And he's saying this is his land. So we ask him, do you know where? Then he look at us. So sometimes people don't know. And this attitude as planners, until we talk in a manner that, you see, when you talk about your life, yes, because like my Oga mentioned, Alhaji, in that way, for the past 70 years, they have never seen that thing. Just because it never happened doesn't mean it will not happen. And in Dalele before this one, and even this one, they've been talking to people, don't build in that area. But when you have pressure, and this, why do you always talk about this calamity? And then we look at it as if because we need to protect ourselves. We need to respect order. We need to respect law. We need to understand that our life matters. Of course, like we mentioned, all of us, I am happy the speakers all mentioned, issue of economic activity and so on and so forth. But we can look at the quality of building. It's the same thing, just like somebody mentioned. Go to Suleja and see the same thing. Wherever people are just looking at this is like a transit home. We do it and then we move. So I think this is just where I'll stop for now as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for taking us through this study tour, I should say. It is quite interesting to see how these old places are, vulnerable to the disaster due to their topography and all that. But let me ask you, Prof. Professor Zubairu, what specific gaps exist in Niger State urban planning and disaster management policy? What specific gap can you point out?
We should have directed that question to Dr. Abdul. Okay, he's the one in the field doing the work. But I have my own thinking about it, quite frankly. But let me rewind a little bit to what Dr. Abdul has just said. It confirms our fundamental concern. At technical level, we seem to be informed of what is happening. And I'm happy at the way Dr. Abdul put it. This disaster, whether we like it or not, if we don't take any remedial measure, will continue to happen. The intensity may vary, depending on the volume of water that falls and so on. These dams are already major impediments, if you like. Somebody somewhere should have seen this coming. There's a city, I suspect maybe Dr. Abdul will know it, in America called Chinansi Valley. They built series of dams somewhere like that, and they started facing exactly this same type of problem. So the city decided, let's build our own dams to collect this water. And today that city has become a major city that sells water to other states and other cities, that produce plenty of fish, that invite people to come and enjoy sports, water sports. I think, for me, quite frankly, the disconnect, it's unbelievable. I don't know really, again, from experience, how best we can talk to government, for government to begin to understand. I think the knowledge in government is not as high as it should be. Because, like Dr. Abdul put it in the house, Allah nekao. But Allah in His infinite mercy has given us the knowledge and skills to be able to understand that there is a link between what is happening, the presence of these dams, and the rivers that hitherto before the dams were feeding into that big river. Now they are not able to, because the dams themselves are getting filled up. So I think it's important that one simple way of doing it is to pack everybody out of that place. Where are you going to put them into? So the key is to look for a solution to this problem. And for me, I don't know how on earth we technical people can make strong enough case for governments to begin to appreciate this. Even the people in the communities, incidentally, like somebody was talking to me that some of them were aware of this problem, actually a few of them, and we are complaining. One or two people have even moved from some of the potentially waterlogged area to higher ground. But the numbers are too few to make any difference. So I think it's really, for me, a critical juncture here. The usefulness of our professional knowledge really is to put it at the service of the people. What we have not devised up to today, and I'm concerned about it, is that we haven't been able to develop a mechanism where we can put our expertise, knowledge, and experience at the disposal of the government, and for that to form the basis of whatever policy government makes. If you talk too much, they will tell you you're only talking grammar, they're not interested in your grammar. But they must be interested in the grammar if we are going to safeguard the lives of our people. and ensure the sustainable development of our areas. This is, for me, the major concern. To be honest with you, I've been agonizing over all this. What do we do? How do we solve this? For example, all this presentation that Abdul has made now, I suspect beyond his laptop, and maybe a few people he has spoken to, nobody is aware of it. But he has raised fundamental issues. You can see some of the areas where people are living there already. There are areas that they should not have been allowed to live in them in the first place. But they're there. And I'm afraid they'll continue to be there for a very long time to come. So these issues are staring at us in the face, in my considered opinion. And I think it's important to begin to come up with ways and means that we can put before, like I said, the authorities, our expertise. I don't know whether the professional bodies are doing enough, in my considered opinion. I'm not sure we are, but I think we must. Have we collectively, for example, marshaled together a series of argument? Let's even start with this Mokwa case. Is there any way that Abdul and the host of others, who all the chapters and so on, can sit down together and come up with a technical basis for approaching this issue? To be honest with you, what we are dealing with is not money. So it's not a question of there's no budgetary allocation. It's a question of raising awareness in the authority to begin to address these issues squarely. You must give credit to some of the government itself. Probably people are not aware of all this. So how do we sensitize them in a way that they can understand? Because I think it's very important to think about it seriously. We owe them that responsibility. And that's probably one of the legacies we all leave behind. Say, we have tried, and this is the consequences of our effort. Certainty in the quality of lives of the people. Look at those trees that were felled, for example. That's a disaster, for goodness sake. Isn't there 1,001 ways of fighting bandits and keeping them off that place? Do they know the value of those trees? I'm sure they would have sold those trees and maybe made charcoal out of them or firewood out of them and sold them. And they've exposed everybody. So I think, really, those of you who are still in service and also we should think about city managers, for example. Whatever is happening in Mokwa and so on will have direct effect on your lives in the urban area. Like I assure you, this year, the farming season has just started. There won't be as many farmers today this year in Mokwa to farm this land. So the production of maize, guinea corn, and beans is going to go down drastically with all its consequences in the lives of the people. So this, for me, is an emotional aspect of this that I think we really have to, it's a bit tiring to say that we all are informed. But the people on whose behalf we are informed, we are learning this, and they don't know anything about what we're doing. So why is a disconnect? But there is a disconnect. And I think that is something that we have to find a way of bridging, in my considered opinion, to begin to address the core issues. Once the awareness is there among the people, they themselves can begin to police themselves and begin to develop the proper understanding. I want to conclude by mentioning two countries that I know reasonably well. Singapore, for example, since in the 60s, they developed what they call community engagement. They have a minister today in Singapore of cabinet rank. It's not a minister of state, full-fledged minister whose job it is on community engagement. The GCC countries, in Dubai and the rest and so on, they have a minister of happiness and well-being. Essentially, that's what they're doing. Giving the people the ability to organize their communities, to understand the implication of whatever is happening to them. Then the people themselves will be the ones to drive the development. Otherwise, me and you will be churning all kinds of data among ourselves, which are factual data, to be honest with you. I wish those who fell those trees had the advice that it's not wise to do it. But they won't even talk to you before they do it. They will have done it before they even consult with it. So these are major issues, quite frankly, that I think we as professionals must find a way of addressing. To say, how on earth can we now begin to make the desired impact, the necessary impact? And the impact we must, if we are going to begin to save our people from all these impending challenges. And it's getting worse, and it's likely going to get worse. In fact, I was reading somewhere a few days ago, they are predicting another flooding in Mokwa, and they mentioned Mokwa and one other area in Niger State and a few other areas. These are issues. So I hope I've answered your question, but for me, I think this is one massive opportunity that I have, again, arising from the presentation of Abdul to say, look, gee, we all are happy that we have all this information. Those who should know, those who should predicate their policies on it, I'm not so sure they are fully aware of it, but they need to be aware of it. What is the mechanism for achieving this? I think I'll just keep quiet. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. My next question will be for Architect Yarima, but before that, I would like Dr. Abdul to add his voice to this specific question. What specific gaps exist in the Niger State urban planning and disaster management policy that you think has to be filled?
I think we professionals are not communicating well. We need to understand that I can tell you within the last years that I have been in service, sometimes politicians are in a hurry to achieve. They want to see results. So, and when you keep on bugging them with plan, this is different. But how do you have to, educate them? It's not that they don't know this thing. They travel, they saw what they are seeing what is happening almost everywhere. But I want to achieve something within a short period. How do we convince them? So to answer your question directly, there are so many things that we have done. And sometimes when I say communication, it doesn't mean that you have to be within government or you have to give to the government. You can show your value by doing something within your community that deliberately show that is planning. I will cite one example. Go to Pakungu Cemetery and see. The governor, as a governor, approved the expansion of the cemetery by saying we should annex a place 3 hectares or thereabout. But somebody somewhere, remember that we did something many years back when we are thinking of, you don't need to wait. As a planner, you are like a doctor. And that's why we have what we call under the RCE urban clinic. You have to dissect what is happening in the city. How do you solve problem urban these are issues that you have, but we don't have to wait for government. No, government, when they see you are solving problem, believe they will come to you. So take that cemetery. As a governor, he felt that this place is small. Add that place is government item. Somebody said, look, I know Abdul and some other people work on this, and they call us. If you go to the university, you will see so many projects on cemetery planning, but how effective have they been on the ground? But here we were able to demonstrate. I brought to the department, I asked my staff in town planning department, please come up with a plan. They couldn't understand how to plan cemetery. What is the business with cemetery? But we were able to come up with something, and with this specification, each grave, this is what it should be: 2 meters by 1 meters. In between graves, 1.5. In between block, 2 meters. Walkway, 3 meters. For vehicle to pass, about 4 meters. And we were able to come up with something, and we were able to achieve 3,500 new graves that can be put in that new place. Believe you me, go to Minna now and go to Pakungu Cemetery. Anybody that passes there will say this is something, and that is planning. Who said that we cannot plan? But the issue when you wait, and you see when they talk about it, everybody is praising the governor because he was happy that this is planning. He has seen practical this is planning. Did we wait for him to say we should do it? Nobody will want to. But now, in fact, when we told him about something, he said, Abdul, go and do borehole, do this, put straight light. So this is the kind of thing. Ministry for Local Government, do this. So now every town is saying we should do the same thing for them. Did we wait for somebody to tell us to do it? So when you try to localize issue that solve problem. So to close this, when you say the gap, that is where the gap is, and that's why we pick an area. For instance, youth resilience in Minna. We came up with a program under this era. We call it the Sustainable Initiative for Responsible Adulthood. We invited these talks in Minna. We sat them down and discussed for 1 hour. They said they have not been called. And we use that. We have their videos. Believe in me, now we can tell you these 10 people are now the form. There is no time they will not call us within a week. They will just say, and we say anytime a problem come to us. As urban planners, part of our codicy is to solve urban problem. Urban youth is there. Urban traffic. But we don't even understand what causes this. We look at just traffic congestion. I'm in Mokwa right now. Between the forest reserve and Mokwa town, you will regret because you spend almost 30 minutes in discipline. So we must understand how do we have precise solution to some of these problems that are practical, that are easy to implement, that are understood. These people, just like Prof will also mention that, don't think they don't know what they are doing. Nobody wants to live in a bad environment, but if nobody talk, everybody will do the same thing. We need to have that in mind and then look for solution. I will be able to solve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for adding your voice to this. So, Architect Yarima, I would like to ask, how can buildings be more flood resilient?
For building to be more flood resilient, first first and foremost, we must have a planned environment where we have channel waters, where the environment is well planned, and that will help the architect to put on his design too. We have sustainable materials where that we can use to put buildings that are flood resilient. Because first and foremost, a minimum standard of a building should be put into consideration. You cannot go and build a building on a flood area without foundation. You must look at the nature of the land and also to determine the kind of foundation you're going to put. So I will want to call on our people or developers, for anybody that want to develop, you must put into consideration looking for the people that are trained for that. It is easier for you to spend less when you have a professional that will look at your building and advise you on how you put it. In most cases, people don't want to call professionals and they feel, if I call professional, I will spend more, I will do this, I'll do this. But at the end of the day, you end up losing everything if you don't call a professional. So I want to call on people to use a professional architect to advise you. He will also advise you in terms of cost, he will advise you in terms of materials, he will advise you in terms of what to put and what to use to achieve a resilient building that will withstand the test of time. I've seen people that have built years back, 50, a building that are standing 50 years, 100 years, and still very strong and very resilient. So with the development now, we should be able to achieve more and more. That is my advice. And just like Dr. Abdul has said, professionals should look at service, not the money they will get. If you give a service, you get more opportunity of having more jobs and making more impact. And that will give you whatever you want to achieve in life. And you don't even know, you might not even know you are making a lot of progress and making history by doing that. So you should be able to look at service rather than what will come in. From there, you get what you want to achieve.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I would also like to ask you again, as the chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Architects in Niger State, of course, I would like to ask you, how do you think professional bodies, especially of the built environment, can come together and implement and ensure plans are implemented, rather than having technical knowledge and it remains in shelf and not actually implemented? How do you think professional bodies can come together and make sure this happens?
Okay, like just for instance, this flood disaster that happened in Mokwa has brought us closer to each other with town planners again, and we have started discussing on what to look at as a corporate service responsibility of professionals. And just what we have started, the other professional bodies are also looking at, okay, why don't we come together all and look at it holistically and advise and see what can we do to ensure that we give our own responsibility to the system and the government. So now we're talking together and we're going to expand that too, so that we can have a roundtable discussion with other professionals and also look at various ways in which we can impact in the community, in the states and local government, and also advise the government where necessary to see that result-oriented achievement are being recorded. So we're working judiciously to achieve that. And very soon, the professional bodies will come together in a roundtable and discuss and also put a developmental plan advisory, but to look at wherever we need to look and advise the government, and also on community services too.
Thank you. That's fantastic. I am happy that, okay, Dr. Abu, we want to speak, please, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sorry, I'm a little bit pressed for time, and if you know where I am, you'll be struck. Right now, I'm in Mokwa.
Yes.
Because of this, I have to leave early so that I can maybe, because this is something interesting that I found very important when Nagidi told me about it, and I said I will really participate. But permit me to maybe make my final input, because the deputy is going to just arrive. You know, there are so many discussions around, even though here I'm participating more as an, you know, from the NGO point of view, RC Minna, because just to show you that this is something, if you go to our office, you see our members there. They are young guys that are doing so much on this. And you need to create an environment where they can do something, and then you see what you are looking for by the grace of God. But permit me to share finally, so that maybe I can, because the video has come, they are trying to start the process of distributing the relief material. But I want to say one thing. The Prof asked the question, which is very fundamental, whether what we have done, this report that I showed, believe in me, sir, you know, when we were coming, I was twice with director and planner, and then we went again another time. We prepare a Kobo collect questionnaire, and we try to pick each of the buildings as where they are, just to show how they follow this flow, to know, to be sure, not to just, because you need to be very empirical in explaining some of these things, not just to make a statement. Believe in me, we saw them, and the building and the point we picked all fell within that red zone that we call them. When we prepare our report, just as government team that we were asked to come and give, believe in me, Prof, wallahi, the way the deputy governor took that, and he said, this is one of the most technical reports. But you see, we don't have to wait and say we should be asked to do this thing. This is the, I don't know that you see, this is the report, which is not too clear, but this is the cover. So what I'm saying here is, the way you package, yes, you don't need to wait for someone to give you money, you know, because we have to do it. This is a sacrifice. Your value, I always tell my people around that work with me, don't bother about whether they know or they don't know. Whatever you prepare, if it is from your own knowledge, is part of your own knowledge. Because you can look at it. That's why when you say, I have done A, B, C, D, of course, you don't know what will, issue of cemetery. We did that 10 years ago on paper. But this, when this issue came, somebody said, I remember somebody did something like that, and this is what we are doing now in Pakungu. 10 years ago, 2014. So that is it. So now, Professor Sheikh Agay mentioned something which I want to maybe mention here, because in his, I saw his comment about some of the issue. Sorry, sir, because I want to just make this comment, and then, if you look at, I'm just trying to put some of this hazard, because Prof mentioned this, we're expecting more. And just like I mentioned the context, if you look at the dams around that area, we should expect more of that. And Niger say we are really entrapped in this kind of thing. If you look at major hazard globally as of 2005, you will see hydrometeorological to have one of the largest. So, and then we have already understood this, and we have, I want to show you something just before I go, so that you will see something that I want to share. When we are discussing this, this is the point where we pick the points using the Kobo color. You can see all these points where the area we pick this in, and you can see that it's exactly on that area, the belly of the flood flow. So now, as we're thinking of that, look at another one, disaster maybe waiting to happen. People are now using that, and then nobody is doing anything. The same railway that's supposed to come and, okay, what do we do immediately? If, for instance, this thing should just either cut or fall, one of these metal will kill somebody, and nobody is doing anything. And I think that is something that we need to look at. And I must say this on a very personal note, that I'm happy with this kind of gathering. And I hope we'll be able to sit down and look at what are the issues that we can pick, and then maybe make a research around it and come with a solution, so that that can serve, irrespective of whether they use it or not. Believe in me, no government will want to be seen as being insensitive to what is happening around. But we need to know how to communicate and be able to get that result. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. Okay, Prof, yes. Please go ahead, sir. You are muted, sir. Hello, Prof. Okay. there is an network issue there. Okay.
Me? Are you with me?
Okay, we can hear you. Yes. We were not hearing you initially, but we can hear you now, sir. Yes.
You can hear me. Oh, excellent. Yes. Oh, wonderful. I want to say I agree 100% with Dr. Abdul, but I think the truth is all the built environment professionals, for example, operating in Niger State, we have to come together and examine the entirety of the state, either on a city-by-city basis, to understand what the core development challenges are and what should be the solution. And then develop a kind of manual which we all relate to when it comes to specific projects. From experience, during my days as a student in the UK, basically that is what they managed to do. So it does not matter whether you're an architect or a town planner, whatever you do, first of all, you go through that manual and you consult with all the professionals along the line. Initially, it was taking a lot of time, but with technology and so on, things are moving a lot faster. But the most important thing is that every single project benefited from the wisdom, the collective wisdom of the professional institutions. If there's a time that we need this, I'm afraid this is the best time for that to happen. Otherwise, too many things are happening too fast. And on individual basis, our response time is too low. It takes too much time. So my advice is, like architect Yarima said, and architect Bala, the two professions have started. I think we must find a way, Dr. Abdul, probably as the permanent secretary, you can facilitate that, to have as many of us as possible professionals in the built environment. Sit down. We can even start with Mokwa, for example. Some of the issues in your presentation, Dr. Abdul, we have to find lasting solution. Otherwise, like you said, and I agree with you, this flooding will continue for a very long time to come. So this is the way I see it. And then to begin to see how on earth can we begin to go on a community by community basis to begin to help them to understand what planning is all about and what their roles and responsibilities are and what benefit there are for them to begin to understand that there's a necessity for planning. They don't have to be town planners before they do that, but they need to know what the importance of town planning is about. And that's why this issue of community engagement becomes absolutely crucial. You know, that is from the point of view of the community itself. But the critical starting point is we professionals must come together, built environment professionals. I don't know who's going to provide the leadership, but I know the architects and town planners have started the journey. The sooner we can all come together and begin to address it. Mokwa is a fantastic test case. With all the data you guys are generating, Dr. Abdul, this is the best time to say, okay, what do we do long time? There will be very many more Mokwas to come through in this rainy season. I'm very sure of that. So it's important now to begin to say, gee, what are the core issues? What do we do? And then we can expand it to cover these other areas. This is absolutely important. I think we owe it a duty to our people and to ourselves as professionals. Otherwise, on individual basis, our effectiveness, no matter how informed we are, may not necessarily be as good as it must be. City managers, for example, I have a passionate feeling for the city managers. I think we need to have our city managers maybe to play this type of role, coordinating role and responsibility. Many problems are emerging in our cities. Some of them are predictable, some of them can be solved. But as long as people are left on their own, you can't solve anything. Especially this issue of youth. And so many of that is actually. I think it's important for us to begin to work together and to begin to find simple solutions. So solutions can be very simple, pending the bigger solutions. But we all must take responsibility for it. And we all must provide the leadership. I think we have a moral responsibility professionally to provide that direction. That's the bit I wanted to contribute, and I'm glad that WCI has now gone. So that at least we understand what it is, the importance of this, and our role and responsibility in achieving it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob. To round up, sir. Okay. Yes.
So that I can round up, because I waited so that I can hear. And Prof mentioned something fundamental. In fact, I forgot to mention it. About 10 years ago, or almost 15 years ago, because sometimes I usually go back in years. This effort that we're talking about, we did that. Interestingly, do you know how? then I was, we brought Nigerian Environmental Society to Niger State, and I was one of the few that did. Engineer Alasan happens to be chairman when we started. And what really happened then was, because the environment cut across all of this, Engineer Alasan happens to be an engineer, and then we have people that are from the survey field, we have people from the urban regional planning, SS survey, and so on. So when we look at that, we say, why not we form like association of professional bodies? But here, using the NES as a this thing, we try to create this forum of in the built environment. This thing we did. In fact, we created a kind of forum where we'll be meeting monthly with even a kind of discussion. We pick a topic and then we dissect it from this multi-sectoral. This Engineer Alasan provided a very good support in that. This is one area which I know we have done that. And bringing this is a kind of wake-up call. Sometimes people go back to their cocoon and then in a competition, this individual, this is the issue. And that is why we need to practicalize. Sometimes people don't believe in an idea. If it is simple, it can work. And that's why maybe demonstrate what you can do. And that's why maybe the RCE movement is a very good platform where, of course, we have a very broad spectrum of people that are there that work together with. Whatever we pick, is the issue of slum, is the issue of youth, is the issue of deforestation, is it of tree planting, youth engagement. We have a program that we call Green Fingers, which I'm wearing the shirt of Green Fingers now. Every summer, which in the next one we'll have it, we bring children that are under the age of 7, between 5 to 7, maximum 9, for 1 week, and we talk about environment in our office. I'm not talking about government office. And that is how you support government, by bringing awareness. And this change, maybe if we cannot do this, our young guys should be able to do that. And I believe this is one area that all of us we can work together. And I'm happy the chairman, NIA, who happens to be a brother, and then Nagidi, who is a runaway brother, and then Godwin, you are disappeared brother. So I have disowned you a long time ago. So, but on a very serious note, I'm happy with this. I want to most sincerely apologize that I have to go now. But believe in me, whatever you think is the right thing, I'm with you 100%. Please, let's be practical. Let's simplify things. Let's talk in the language these people understand. And I believe me, we can make a difference. Thank you very much, most sincere.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
so
sir.
I have to go now. Thank you.
All right, sir.
Bye-bye. Yep.
So before we conclude, sir, Architect Yarima, let's have your final words.
I want to first and foremost thank the organizers of this webinar, because this is a very good and very insightful opportunity for us to discuss the challenges, not only in Mokwa, but in Niger State in general. And I want to believe this should be the beginning of better things to come. And this will give us a more forum or insight to have further discussions with other professionals. I would also want to appreciate Mustapha Professor Mustapha Zubairu, for being up and doing. He has been very encouraging and supportive on this issue of Mokwa and other issues. He has encouraged us to come together and have this forum. We are much grateful. So this is an opener. I want to call on other members, professional bodies, to ensure that whatever we are going to do, let's give a quality service to ensure that the benefit might not come directly now, but in future, even if not directly to us, our younger ones and the future generation will benefit from it. So let's look at wherever it's possible for us to contribute on quota to do it, so that the future will be better than what it is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, Prof, let's have your final comment on this issue.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. First of all, let me start by scolding city managers. I have a right to scold you because I know why I should scold you. Yes. So on a very serious note, jokes aside, actually, a lot of the discussion we had so far fall into the purview of what city managers are supposed to help us achieve. Because you can't manage a city if the city is this bad and it's falling apart. And you can't manage a city where the bulk of the people living in the city are not particularly informed. You can't manage a city where there's a disconnect between what all we big technical people are talking about and what the reality is for those people. I think that probably one way of popularizing the city management outfit, isn't it possible to put together some kind of concept note and see whether the South Koreans or the Singaporeans can support us a little bit to begin to articulate what built environment professional should do, or the need for them to come together, and the issues to consider when it comes to a lot of these developments. We don't have to take everything, but there are core issues. There's the issue of poverty. There's the issue of deteriorated environment. Do you know that Niger State government has banned the sale of charcoal? But charcoal business is booming in Niger State. It's a night business. If you go out of your house in Minna here, from about 4 a.m. to about 6 a.m., that's when you see people, some of them on motorcycles, carrying 4, 5, 6 bags of charcoal. The reality is that the bulk of the people that live in all these slum areas and so on, even some of our supposedly well-developed areas, they rely on charcoal. So who is deceiving who? Maybe the government is not aware, but we are aware, and I think we have to find a way of solving all this. For example, briquette. Briquette is a fantastic alternative using biomass. You can produce the same type of thing. Can't we promote it, for example? Look for funding. Probably there are a lot of these countries that can willingly come and set the machines up here under the guidance or in partnership with the city managers, so that this can be produced, and gradually you begin to win people off charcoal. But charcoal is the worst form of deforestation. If you just cut trees, no matter their size, when it comes to charcoal, for firewood, the trees have to be big. But you know, a tree that is that big will have been there for about 20, 25 years. I don't know how many of us will be alive at that time for you to plant a tree today and for you to grow to that size. So it's an issue, which in my view, if you're able to weave together some of this argument, probably the time is now to begin to address all these issues. You know, look at all these issues of Mokwa. This flooding is going to continue anyway. There's no doubt about it. For the simple reason that the rivers emptying into this big river, Niger, are no longer able to do it. And rain is falling. Whatever small rain that falls elsewhere is magnified because we are not able to drain it off. So for me, these are my honest advice that we should look at it. Having said all that, let me thank you most sincerely for your effort. It requires a lot of courage to do this, but it's important to do this. The task you have now is really how do you communicate the outcome of this to the authority. I think you need to find a way of really doing a good job of it, just so that you register your presence again, so that you are actually making the contribution that you are set up to do. I think that's very important. I'm really proud of your effort despite all the challenges, but this is very important to do it. And I pray that we're able to succeed. And I pray that this one will serve as a launching pad for the professionals to come together and do more work. You know. So congratulations once again, and I commend each and every one of you for the effort. My brothers, the architects and the town planners, thank you very much for staying the course. But I'm sure you realize that this is only the beginning of the journey itself. There's a lot of work to be done. We just have to be there to help the process. I'm sure we'll succeed. By special grace of God. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Prof. And this is why I introduce you as our father. You're always there to guide us whenever we need you. And in fact, calling you on a short notice and you're here, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Architect Yarima. Even though it's my first time of meeting you, I believe when next time around, I'm going to visit your office. Thank you so much to Dr. Abdul and Town Planner Nagidi for this wonderful panel session. I believe everybody here has learned one or two things, and at the end of this session, we're going to put together a technical report that will consolidate every information that we have gathered here today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we'll move straight to the next session, which is the interactive session. anyone that wants to make any comment can actually raise hand. We have a very few minutes to do this. So I'll give opportunity to maybe 3 people. So if you have any comment, you can use the raise hand icon. I'll call you from here and then you make your comment. Okay. Okay, I have one hand up. Amina Abdul Ndayako. Please go ahead and make your comment.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Tampla and I'm in Abdul Ndayako from Niger State. So, serious putting together this our fathers, which they have been imparting so much in terms of they have so much knowledge on the city, how to manage city, and also disasters. So this is a very nice, is a great idea, and kudos to people that thought about this, bringing this into the table. To be sincere with you, is our culture, human culture so far, because this I live close to Mokwa is my twice in a month, maybe at least once in a month. So I think from my own point of view, I will go with to some extent. I go with what Dr. Abdul Hussaini said in terms of the pond I was talking about. You see, Mokwa has railway, and this railway for the past, I've been plying this road of Mokwa always like about 8 years now. So Ndayako, all those places that I'm so much familiar with the road. There is this railway that Goli have chopped off for the past how many years. Nobody cared to know about nobody cared to attack or solve any problem there. So definitely, Goli will surely chop up. After chopping up all those things, it may likely lead to maybe ditch a lot of this that result into storage of water that may likely maybe later on definitely if the pond feed up, definitely the water has to get out, because water will surely look for a way to get out. So and also when looking at it, majority of people living in those houses, they use the major place they use as where to deposit the waste, all these drainages and also ditch. So when you look at it again, that culvert, that bridge that overflowed, that bridge has been going there. It's usually whenever I reach there, when I'm driving, you have to slow down because it has been completely, that bridge have been for the past more than how many years, it looks like sloppy. That is to say, maybe it has been going down and nobody cared to even reconstruct it or maintain it. So, and when you look at the both side of those places where these people build so many houses, the Goli has chopped up and people continue. They don't care. They continue building close to this hazard-prone area. I think it's our culture or what, which we usually say that even when you tell them stop building near to all these places, they know they see it, but they are thinking that they will associate it with maybe, God forbid, if you tell them that don't do that close to these places, they will tell that Allah kiyaye, say Allah so, or maybe I kadaran Allah ne, say so koga kaso kokba, so that if God did not say it will happen, it will not happen. So definitely with time, when you are depositing a lot of those being into waterways, water will surely find its way. And that was basically what happened in that place. Because you will see then, I've been seeing people many times taking waste beam from their houses, deposit into that places, deposit into the drainages. You see very fine, very they will construct the drainages constructed for the water to pass. People are depositing waste. So definitely water will find the way. So that is the reason why when the water is trapped and also this pond is filled up, definitely it will has to burst out. And when you look at the type of building over there, majority of the building there are mold, and you know what comes when the water bursts, associating with the mold. So definitely it will lead to collapse and burying people inside. So this thing to me, it doesn't, I've been seeing it, so it doesn't look like emergency to me. When it happened, I say yes, definitely this, because as time goes up, definitely the nature, it has to happen. So it doesn't come to me as accident or maybe emergency, because over the time, these are the things that I've been seeing people doing. So thank you so much. I believe since this have happened and they have seen, because our people, most especially Africa people, they believe in they want it to happen first before it becomes emergency. But since they have seen it now, definitely I think they will start preparing. The preparation level is what they should, and also early warning and so many things. I think when they tell them now, they will listen to it, because people like experiencing it down to take proactive action. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your comment. Thank you. Thank you. I have another hand up. Professor Sheikh Danjuma. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Professor Zubairu. I've read so much about you. Let me also talk about you small. I've read so much about you, and sincerely, I appreciate your work. Dr. Hussaini is my elder brother. I'm a geographer by training, and I've given a comment there that has to do with working together with all experts, all people in the field. For me, distinguished gentlemen of the panel, the issue of flooding, river actions, water activities goes beyond some of the things that have been done several years to date. There is also the need, which of course is my position as far as rivers and waters are concerned, to respect the position, the interest of the water itself. Whatever the structure, whatever the materials for buildings, whatever drainages, if they are not adequate enough to allow for, as far as history is concerned, the water that passes here, sincerely, whatever the year, some people will tell you it's more than 63 years. We had cases in Sokoto 2010, we're out of Kaduna, we have Maiduguri, we have Lokoja. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the fact is, water will always take back its land. Our duty is, apart from all these building structures, planning cities, when we plant cities, sir, please, we must ensure that we don't play games with the water. Because definitely, as far as climate change is concerned, what we have seen 30 years back, 60 years back, is likely to occur in the nearest future. More floodings are expected if waterways are not given due course, due space, adequate opportunities. I don't want to talk too much. I'll be talking next month, so and it's on this issue. This is my interest, and I love it so much. I want to appreciate all of you. I appreciate the two teams that bring this together. And I'm happy that I'm part of this afternoon. I learned a lot also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, bro, for that wonderful comment. Okay. So I said I'll give 3 people opportunities, but I'm having more hands. Let's give this time to Town Planner Mohammed Nasir. Please.
Good afternoon. I'm Town Planner Abdullah Muhammad Nasir. Registered town planner with the Town Planner Registration Council of Nigeria, and also into research. So actually, this is quite interesting, having the fact that you have to put this meeting in place. It was timely, and I happen to be part of a research team that worked particularly in those areas in terms of episodic disaster events, which cut across the North Central state, which Niger was one of our area of study, which we happened to visit around Mokwa, Jagi, Muregi, and there are a lot of important suggestions that were made after this research. I think sometimes in 2016, it was a TETFORM project. And I guess if times permit, we can, after the session, I can put maybe a copy across so that it will help in supporting the little that has been done. So passionately, to be frank, I'm also from Niger State. So anything that affects my state is also my interest, and it is a well-deserved program, which I believe we can work more to enhance the performance of covering up such problems that comes with disaster, which affects a lot of lives, properties, and what have you. So thank you for this opportunity, and I hope to engage more in aspect that moves the state forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Town Planner. You can send us an email. The email is on the chat box already at admin@acman.org.ng. So you can, you send us an email and we take the discussion from there. So I'll give the opportunity to just 2 hands and we'll round up. I think the next person should be, okay, Aliyu Mohammed Wanigi. Please, you have just 2 minutes. Is Aliyu there? Your hand is up. Okay, let's give the time to Eugene. Please go ahead.
Are you hearing me now?
Okay, Aliyu, okay, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, sir. Professor Age and Minna today was tried to mention some things here. Naturally, water will have to find its way, and water has its right of way too. And that is the situation we saw in Mokwa. From history, the Mokwa town was a settlement founded around that water body. So it was really baffling to see that people were seeing to make developments close to riverbank. In a nutshell, there's I hold it that there's need for thorough enlightenment to the traditional landowners, the traditional rulers, and local authorities on the need to allow for good clearance and right of way to water bodies to flow freely. And because our conservation of urban areas now, lives are being lost much more within river areas that cut across rural areas. So I strongly opine that we make this a consideration such that the enlightenment and the campaign will cover a larger area other than the urban centers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. Yes. So, Eugene, please.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Good afternoon to everyone in the house. Hope I can be heard clearly.
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you. Actually, engaging in this discourse from Enugu,
okay,
Southeast Nigeria. First, let me commiserate with the Niger State government and the people of Mokwa for what happened at Mokwa. Having said that, we've been able to hear from the discussants and the panelists, and we've taken home a lot of information. But I will say that time has come for us to be much more of proactive rather than being reactive. And one of the panelists mentioned one thing, that as professionals, meanwhile I'm a veterinary doctor, I'm also an environmentalist. As professionals, we should start, setting agenda for government with respect to issues of disaster and issues of the environment. And that brings to bear the fact that we must be able to activate the professional bodies in each of the states of Nigeria. especially the APBN, the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. And I believe at that level, we may see better than government could see and put these documents across to them and work towards their implementation, because as professionals, we've been trained to see more than they could see as politicians. But if they believe us as professionals, they will be able to implement those documents for the benefit of our society. I believe like what happened in Mokwa is not just the environment that was destroyed. It was not just the human lives that were lost. Plants, animals were also lost. So to do a thorough assessment of what has happened, professionals of different cadre, depending on the subject area, has to be aggregated to even look at the impact of what has happened in Mokwa and bring it to the government and say this is the magnitude of loss we incurred. And we use it as a template to implement such other places that such a thing should not happen again. On that note, I want to once again commiserate with those in Niger State and to thank those who have put this together. Thank you once again. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for your comment. And there are no hands anymore. And with this, I would like to appreciate everyone that participated in this event today. Like I said, this event, which is a very highly technical and expert session, is going to be a report that will be generated after this event to contribute to the Niger State government effort in ensuring flood disasters are mitigated. So I would like to say thank you to all our participants. Thank you to the chairman, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Niger State Chapter, collaborating with us, the Association of City Managers in Nigeria, to put this event together. And thank you to all our panelists, Professor Zubairu, Architect Yarima, and Dr. Abdul for coming. We really appreciate you. And expect more from us. You can follow us on social media at ACMAN Nigeria, and you can also visit our website, which is on the chat box, www.acman.org.ng, to see the wonderful works we are doing within the country. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.